Hey everybody, hope you're doing well tonight. I don't know if you're on YouTube, Facebook. Devin has gone AWOL, and we're going to be waiting for him to show up. He's going to be a little late. He had some family thing that came up. We think we got a pretty exciting show for you tonight. I can't promise you Keith and Jeff won't be fighting like certain presidential candidates. We'll have to find out. Okay. But if it makes anyone feel any better, I will interrupt them as many times as you ask me to. Okay. We're gonna have them show basically some stuff from World at War and some new scenario stuff that Jeff has and made up in Keith. And for the first hour, the second hour, we have Nathan. Oh, hold on, I'm getting all kinds of problems now. Someone's stealing kids. Okay. And what we're going to do is have Nathan come on board and show us about Space Infantry Federation in the second hour. And I guess with no further ado, I will bring on His Majesty Keith. How you doing?
Hi, royalty. What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but what kingdom are you? Are you part of the Ketchup Kingdom or something powerful?
The Ketchup Kingdom. I like that.
This means you're bleeding, buddy.
At least it's tasty.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay. Now, just for those who care. Okay. There we go. That's ceremonial. Okay. We're more than 6 feet apart. We're good.
Jeff, you have a visitor.
Yeah, I see.
Okay.
That's right. We need to indoctrinate him.
Right. Start them early.
That's right.
I did that with my guys. I got 50%. I got 1 out of 2.
We have a lot of guys on board. Johnny, how you doing, dude? Private Public, greetings from Oz. Jim L, how you doing? Richard, more Jim L. Kev Sharp is here. Ron's here. How you doing, Ron? Okay. Since we actually have a schedule, we're going to say, well, this doesn't work.
Well, we can't see the comments, so you have to read us the comments.
I have to interrupt you another buzzer, you know. Yeah, I got one of these, though. You see, look.
Wow, I need that for my life.
Okay. Let me just give him a quick update. I didn't even know what I had something to update you on, and now I forgot. No, what's 6 feet? Mo wants to know if we're 6 feet apart. We don't have to because we have masks, buddy. Unlike you. Okay. So, okay. You know what? I had something to tell you guys, and now I cannot remember what it was. Which probably means it's not important. So,
did you get my email with my visual stuff?
I got everything lined up.
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of pictures from Jeff yesterday, which are also loaded. And so, guys, without any further ado, hey, Rough Swordsman's here. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Okay.
Hey, we hope it's worth it.
Yeah. Boy, we hope we don't disappoint. No. Well, at least it's not like the calendar before. No. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna go through this all, guys. I think Saturday we are doing a live broadcast through Kickstarter, assuming that Devin and I figured out how to do that properly. Okay. And as many of you guys know, the San Diego con, which is held in San Diego. It's actually a very good con. I really did enjoy going there with Mo and my kids last year. I was like, was it last year? Maybe, yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year.
Before. Yeah. And we were going to go this year, but, you know, there's this virus running around and it canceled everything fun. But they're going to have an online one.
Oh, good.
Try to get more information. Now, funny you said, oh, good, because you see, now you're going to get tapped.
You got to tell me what the dates are, though. That's all.
Doesn't matter.
I got to book dates.
Hey, Mo, can you text me what the dates are?
And thank you, Mo.
But we hope to run. I know Rick Billings is going to run some. I believe it's Lock and Load Tactical. I know we want to run some World at War 85 and Lock and Load Tactical and possibly the Nations at War. Part of the convention. Where thank you, Harold, for having us. We really do like this format. It really does keep us going. The dates are November 13th through the 15th. And Mel, if you send me a link to sign up, I will post that online during the show. And let Harold know how much of a promoter I am. There's no fees for this, by the way. I'd ask for a free ticket, but I already got one.
I can just say in general, I mean, a lot of you guys have probably been to these virtual conventions that have sprung up since COVID. I went to one, I guess, a couple of months ago now. I had a fantastic time. It was like all the best parts of a convention.
I have to say, it was
really blast.
A lot of fun compared to what you would think. Because I had a hard time. I remember Charles, I forget his last name, Caleb. He had an idea for doing one. And that was, that had to be about 7 years ago. I just couldn't see what we're going to do.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get this set up for you. Okay. Mel, I don't see anything from you. Why not? All right. When he sends me the link and stuff, I will post it, guys. Unless it's a text message. Oh, I think it's in text message. Hold on. Here it is. Okay, guys. All right. I guess I'll let you guys start with what you want to talk about, guys. As you ask questions, I will either ignore them or stick them in there, depending upon how well things go. Listen, Devin's not here. I got to do those all myself, damn it.
We'll help you, Phil. Phil. So Jeff, what do you think? I think they'd like to see what you have first, and then mine's sort of an adjunct to that.
Sure. I'll just do a brief preface on it. I've been really busy. Haven't really been able to do much gaming.
Hey, Jeff, try to get a little closer to your kind of low.
There you better.
Yes.
Okay. So I've been really busy lately. Haven't been doing too much gaming stuff besides reading rule books, articles, whatever. So it's like trying to determine what to put on my table down here in my bunker, and I did a number of games, put them up, and take them down right again. World at War 85 has really spoiled me because I couldn't put together any games with half-inch counters. I've gotten so used to the large size, counters for World at War. I just can't deal with the half-inch counters anymore. Unfortunately, that's like 50% of my games. So instead, World at War 85 came back onto my table, and those of you on the Facebook group saw that I did a bit of a solo play of one of the Defense of Frankfurt scenarios. So instead of doing another kind of playthrough of a scenario, I decided to start working on another one while I'm waiting on some things to continue work on Blood and Fury and
We shall hold.
So, so I started a new scenario. And because I love the canvas map for the Defense of Frankfurt module, I put that on the table again. And so we're doing a new. I'm just starting work on a new scenario, which the setting is right after the second scenario of the module from Defense of Frankfurt. So this immediately follows Hold the Damn Line and is tentatively called The Last Gasp.
So the sequence for those who have Defense of Frankfurt, which came with the Kickstarter expansion, the first scenario is sort of like the Russian attack. The second scenario is a NATO counterattack, and this is what happens after that. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I got to play way back in at this wonderful Contact Atlanta that Mark Faircloth put on for us, and with miniatures and everything. But we were playing Hold the Damn Line, which is the NATO counterattack, and I got to play 2/3 of the M1 battalion. That was so much fun. But we had so many amazing things happen, and I'm like, how can you top this? And Jeff's like, oh, I'll do that. So this is what he's got. And I looked and I went, oh my God, I have to play this.
Someone asked, we were going to do this last week, but I think you lost the internet service.
Oh yeah, we ended up getting a new router. So
oh wow,
I just had to get a new router the other day too. I bought this
Don't give it to me. Don't do that.
Where's your mask?
It's like, I'm in my house. What are you talking about?
And that's where the router is. That the router has a mask.
The router does. No.
All right. So I have 14 pictures, I think, from you, Jeff. You want me to just blow it up and have you talk about it?
Sure.
Okay.
So one of the nice things about this is, you know, I know exactly what my counter mix is because I can just pull whatever I got from Storming the Gap in the expansion box. I know I can use it and it's available. So here you're looking at the eastern edge on the bottom of the screen, and this is where so the setting is, you know, after the hold the damn line scenario, it finishes with the NATO counterattack. The Soviets been pushed up into the northeast corner of the map, and so part of their counteroffensive is to bring in some Warsaw Pact allies coming in on basically the southeastern corner of the map. And I laid out the command cards on the map, so it's a little easier to see where the formations are. And essentially there you have a full tank regiment coming on board, along with a flight of Mi-24 Hinds coming in.
Now, Jeff, this is for which game coming? One of the new ones or the Storming the Gap?
This is Storming the Gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
But specifically from the expansion kit, it's the maps in the expansion kit, Defense of Frankfurt.
Yep. Yeah. So if you got the Storming the Gap in the expansion kit, you know, you'll be able to put this scenario on the table and everything. So.
All right. You tell me when you want me to flip
Okay.
the.
Go ahead. Next one.
If we run out of pictures, because it could be fast.
So, anyways, this is the northeast corner. So this is where the Soviets start set up, and it basically assumes that in the hold the damn line scenario, the Americans and West Germans were able to push back the Soviet spearheads. They have some stuff basically manning that river that cuts off that little corner, and coming in behind it is the 17th Guards Tank Regiment to renew the offensive against the NATO positions. Although in this case, NATO is a little more reinforced. You know, up on the on the Soviet right flank are the West Germans, and they have the positions, improved positions. They have dug into the town. Specifically, if you see the blue formation there for the dark blue formation for the West Germans, they're dug into a city there with 3 improved positions. It's a Panzer Grenadier Company. And that's going to be one of the tentatively that's going to be one of the objectives Soviets have to take in order to win. Yes, go ahead.
Just to give you a little perspective on how the maps go here, because basically he's going from where the view that was before, he sort of slid to the right.
Yep.
So you can see the helicopters on the very left. That's the blue card with the orange stripe, and it's actually the counters right next to it with the orange stripe. That's the same helicopters you saw on the right of the other picture. Yep. So you can see that NATO's pushed the Soviets into this corner. Basically, that's where it starts because that's where the counterattack ended. Yep. And the Allied regiment is to the left, yes, coming in on the flank again.
So now the
roller coaster has begun.
The East Germans are cutting in behind the NATO right flank.
Yes.
So the NATO line there, you'll see a couple of infantry companies, and then if you see in the center, you'll see there's 3 M1 companies that are kind of in reserve at this point. They're not defending the line, so they're able to move against that East German regiment. Along with the one troop of cavalry. The West Germans also have several companies of Panzer Grenadiers, but they also have up front. They have 2 Leo 2 companies, and then in the backfield you'll see 4 formation cards coming in, and that's basically another battalion of West Germans coming in. So what I'm designing this battle for is really to make use of some of the parts of the map that haven't been used in the other scenarios as much. Although I think I did a pretty good job trying to cover all the territory on that, depending on the strategy you take. So again, it's going to be it's going to be 2 aspects of the battle here. Here in the northeast corner, it's more of a set piece battle. There's improved positions and some city fighting. Could probably emphasize some more of the infantry. The Soviets have 2 motor rifle battalions, while the Americans and the West Germans have mechanized infantry companies up forward, and but in the southern half of the map, the East Germans, obviously have a tank regiment. The Soviets' counteroffensive will be also a tank regiment, basically a tank regiment. Again, and the NATO tanks basically have 2 battalions almost worth of just tank companies. So there should be a mobile battle in addition to the set piece battle portion.
Do you have the picture of some of the support units?
I do not have. Oh, I don't think I have them because I know some of the support hasn't been placed on the board yet. So like this is it. What you're seeing here is basically after turn 1. That I started playing. If you in this picture you see in the lower right is the battalion of Soviet artillery. In the upper right, there's that gray card by itself. That's a scratch force, which is consists of 2 batteries of West German M109s. In the what would be the far left corner, upper left corner, the U.S. has a M109 battalion in support. Is there any truth to the rumor that there's going to be Soviet BM-27 rocket trucks in this scenario? Yes. So they'll come on as reinforcements. So that is the we haven't used. We put them in the counter mix.
Applause. Thank you.
That wasn't for you. It's for the Soviet rocket trucks.
Right. That's what I figured. Why would it be for us?
We put them in the counter mix.
Yeah.
But we didn't actually get around to putting them in any of the scenarios.
Right. And they're for design. And just a little note for everybody. They're classed as MLRS, meaning when you drop when you drop an indirect fire artillery strike using them, they're treated. They're an MLRS, so they'll affect the hex you target, at least the one it scatters to, and the 6 adjacent hexes. So they're significant.
Yeah, you got a big concentration on firepower. But as I've learned in playing these larger scenarios with the artillery battalions, the problem comes in is how to coordinate that artillery.
Right.
It doesn't always come on when you need it, and
yeah, right. We're hoping.
Bitter experience in Atlanta. It doesn't always.
So, yeah. Well, Atlanta, I'll give you just real quick. I don't want to tell you like boring war stories. Boring. They're not boring to us, but real quick at Atlanta, where we played Hold the Damn Line. I had a battery of we as a team had a battery of M109s.
Battalion.
Battalion. Yeah, way in the lower left corner, which at the time is actually the corner that's all the way off to the left, where you saw the East Germans, and just we brought it on. We're like, it'll be nice and safe here. So he decides he had an air mobile battalion on the other side of the map, but using the hills to screen and the fact that they were flying, which is basically unlimited movement, they swept the entire map, came down the flank, and dropped on top of the M109 battery. How this leads to MLRS is they took the battery and it did fight back. And it actually, I think we killed a couple of platoons. But as they were remounting their helicopters, an F-111 MLRS appeared and targeted them and blew most of them away. So what goes around comes around in this game. That's one of the things I like about it. That's as much as I can tell you, because the rest is like, oh yeah, Keith's telling another story. Yeah.
Yep. So you want to go to the next picture there? We'll...
Hold on, I got some questions.
Okay.
I think you answered this in prior past. Are there plans to reprint the giant Frankfurt map?
Oh, good. That's a question for David, not me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I left the decision up to Keith. No.
Oh man. Ricochet.
I would say look for a possibility of another set of additional maps, maybe during our Black Friday sale, okay, Christmas sale, okay. We get them custom made, so it is definitely something that we have to plan up, and we can only sell those many. The biggest problem with these maps is they fit in a tube just 1 inch too long. And if you try to ship it anywhere outside the States, it's like, you're buying a slow Mercedes, apparently. So, but we were going to have a meeting about what's going on in November, actually on Tuesday. So that was one of the things on our docket line of things to do. So I'm going to say you can probably expect it to see something. So just keep asking, Jim. Okay. And let's see some comments from Mo. Okay, that's one of you guys, not me.
There are counters for.
I don't know.
For this scenario, all the counters are
rocket trucks. Yes, BM-27 rocket trucks.
They're in the expansion pack.
Yeah, they're in the defensive Frankfurt counter set. There's a couple sheets in there. Exactly. You get a rocket, you get a rocket, and you get a rocket. And you have to say it in a Russian accent.
We had Devin, and now we lost Devin.
I did see pop up there. Yeah. Do we have more questions, or can I interject a comment here?
You can interject all you want.
Okay. You're welcome, Johnny. So if anybody's interested, this is my idea for sort of freshening any scenario, especially the larger scenarios. If for some reason, if maybe you've played, Hold the Damn Line too many times, and just didn't want to keep sending regiment after the Americans. An easy way that, in my mind, to freshen any scenario, but I think particularly for the large one, is take the actual maps as opposed to the cloth map. Lay them out the way they would for the scenario, because there's one configuration that is based off of the actual terrain. Turn half the maps around, and because they're geomorphic, so just turn them 180 degrees, and randomly. And then roughly from what direction and what area these things are inhabiting, and just put them in, starting forces in roughly the same spot. It doesn't have to be a good spot, just the same spot. And then people come on at the same time in the same location, but the maps are different. It'll play completely differently. It won't be, actual Frankfurt terrain, but it'll be a really intriguing map. I mean, that's been my experience. So that's just a suggestion. If for any scenario, if you're like, oh, I played this 6 million times, it's like, all right, well, turn the map around and put the forces on the map and see what happens. Now, in some cases, like a one map scenario, that may crush a scenario, but for multi-map scenarios, turn one map around, see what happens. The Rhine.
Not a bad idea.
Turn one map around on the Rhine, and it's a whole different ball game. I mean, you may have to readjust where the objectives are. Use your common sense. But
when I played, I used to play Panzerblitz a lot, and the Imaginative Strategist came out with like 17.
Yeah. I have the Panzerblitz stuff
for that. Scenarios for them, and so I would go through scenarios like, oh, well, substitute instead of map 3, I'm going to use map 6. Instead of map 2, I'm going to use map 8. And it's a great way to freshen up scenarios and get a little bit of a new twist on those.
Yeah, I've got Panzerleader and AIW on the shelf behind the screen here. So, Devin, hi.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Keith. Hi, Jeff. I just have one question about the new scenario, Jeff. I'm not seeing any rules to take into previous battle damage that the cities and surrounding terrain may acquire. Valley of Death. Is there any plans for you to put in something like that for each side placing rubble counters or burned out markers? Or
I think I have a few close-up pictures. If not, I could actually turn my camera around on my iPhone.
Hold on.
But I do have some rubble and burnt out in a couple of the cities. I do have several down bridges to start off the map and everything like that. So, just like you said, just to throw some flavor into it and to make it harder to move through those cities.
Yeah, that's actually why we designed it to have rubble markers rather than hard code that on the map, which had been seen in other places. I'm like, you can always make a rubble hex, just put a rubble marker, because rubble is really tough terrain. It's not easy, and you clearing it is not easy, but if you can clear it, you get the roads back, but you still have the defensive benefit. So rubble's like a fortress. So it's a great question. I mean, that's what all these different statuses for terrain are. It's just that in scenarios, they tend to get generated. Again, for design your own, just, if you want to freshen up a scenario, sprinkle around a few rubble markers in those cities you have to take. That'll change things around. And what Devin, just for everybody, what Devin was saying was the Valley of Death. Again, in the Frankfurt map, there's a giant crop valley between two hills. It's really there, or was really there, I should say. And in more than one play of this, the valley caught fire because the crops can catch fire too, and they spread pretty quickly, as everybody has expressed. And we may adjust that a little bit, but not a lot. But we call it the Valley of Death because there's Soviet tanks, wreck markers everywhere, and the valley's on fire. Yeah. So it really fits
blown
that description.
Bridges and it's
the bridges are gone, the crops are burning, the tanks are burning. It's like so it's like and we get that in this in the bigger scenarios. It's like you get that kind of drama, you could say.
So to answer your question, so like the large city in the center of the map has 6 markers. The other one further down south, has like 4 or 5 rubble markers, and I think rubble the whole towns. I thought
don't rubble the whole town.
I thought it was just enough to rubble with the road hexes to slow.
Right.
But you're more likely to go around them than through.
Yeah, think of this: if you rubble the whole town, it's like they were bombed.
All right, guys, hold on 1 second. Let's see. We got 14 pictures, so hold on.
I only brought 2 to the party.
Well, obviously someone's working harder than the other.
What can I say?
Okay, so this is one of the reinforcing battalions coming in from the west edge map. It's 4 formations, 1 divisional recon battalion, 2 Leopard 2 companies, and I'm sorry, the recon is a company, divisional recon company, and then a grenadier company as well. So,
and the Leopard 2, the bottommost counter there, it's a little shiny there, but that's the Leopard 2.
Yep. So the light blue and then the aqua are the Leopard 2s, the brown the Panzer Grenadier, the purple are the recon on that one. You want to pick another one there, and I'll just. Okay, so there's your nice M109 battalion, with the 4
Chaparral air cover.
The Chaparral is in
air
place
defense.
For air defense, and actually it did take out the Su-22 fitter on the first.
Oh,
with my from halfway across the map, mind you.
Right.
Ready for the next one?
And the other thing too was I know during my last game it didn't happen it always seemed to be bad timing, but the M109s also were able to get off a counter battery mission, and they got it off. It didn't get great results. They only reduced one of the Soviet batteries.
But still
better than they did in the last playthrough I had.
Right.
All right. Hey guys, we're just gonna we're not halfway through. Yes, I'll wait to do that. Hold on. Go on, guys. There you go.
Just an overview of the map. So the only thing that's really cut off is on the left-hand side is where the American artillery is. The American tanks, for the most part, there's 3 companies of M1s in the center, and then as you see, the Soviets start in that corner behind that little river bend.
And because I don't know how many guys. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you do have this, but the whole point of this map was it's based off of actual terrain around Frankfurt. That lower left corner there, that's the suburbs of Frankfurt. So that's Frankfurt proper. Yep. I shouldn't say suburbs. It's Frankfurt proper.
I can see Mark's house from here.
Right. Yeah. Frankfurt's huge, by the way, so it's just a tiny sliver, and look at how much it covers.
Yeah.
Hey, just for Jim, who was asking, how do you find the maps that we made, the one-piece maps, guys? Durable, stuff like that.
The great thing, I mean, they lay flat, absolutely flat, even after just staying stored, rolled up. After just the very ends of each side curled up just a little bit, but after a couple of days, not even with having anything on top of them, they lay absolutely flat. It's the best large map that I have. So, I mean, we had a nice map of the WBC, but it didn't quite lay flat. We still had some little hills and valleys, and this is marvelous, this map.
Well, the printer gave us, when I told him I wanted it for, and I showed him, the WBC map was a vinyl
right
poster, which it was just I didn't know what else to use. And
it was a demo map.
It's actually canvas. Yeah, that's right. The map behind.
Yeah, the canvas is great.
Yeah, the canvas is wonderful, really is, and it is durable. I haven't tried to tear it or anything, obviously, but it's not fragile or anything like that. So I have not come across a better playing surface. Even like a paper map with plexiglass, you get a lot of glare and everything. You don't have that with the canvas, and it really shines through.
The Canvas Map Association thanks you, Jeff.
All right, next one is image 7, guys.
Okay, so on the Soviet right, the Soviet Recon Battalion stuck its nose out, and the Leopard 2s leapt in front of them, and they're getting a bloody nose at the moment. So so besides the loss of one platoon, just to the right of this picture are two T-80 platoons that were disrupted. So.
Right, time to call for fire.
and on the left-hand side is one of the objective cities where you have the Panzer Grenadier Company. You can barely see. I always camp the counters for the improved position, so both those blue stacks are in improved positions. And this is the
shiny.
This is inroad the 600.
Right. Well, just some features. I mean, if you start the lower left, there's an SA9 Gaskin section covering air defense,
yep.
And then right above that, with the white band, is your 2S1 battery that's attached to one of these battalions. It's a mixed BMP2, BMP1 battalion. That the East Germans have in the red there, lower left, and I guess and upper left too. And then the two other battalions are T-72s.
Three battalions of T-72s, including the upper.
The upper left is a battalion of T-72s as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There seems to be plenty of air cover, and they've got a couple of. Is that BRDM2s up at the top there, leading the recon
with their little scouts in front?
Right,
ready to take first fire.
And call for fire.
Yes. So. Well,
okay, here's any chance of the map coming to TS? Well, the map, the one-piece map, tabletop simulator, I haven't thought about it, but technically speaking, you should be able to make that map because all the maps are on tabletop simulator. Is that not right, Keith? Or am I wrong?
It's correct, but the size of the number of maps you can put in tabletop simulator, you have to. I haven't done it yet, but you have to shrink them down. Devin might know a little better about that, but you shrink the maps down and then shrink the counters down. I don't know if that does anything to the visual quality.
The table that we have that Uwe put into Tabletop Simulator is called the Kraken board, and you can get 4 maps onto it and kind of shrink the counters down to fit the right size.
Mm-hmm.
And the 4 maps take up the entire Kraken board. The Frankfurt map is 8 maps.
Right.
So we might have to have a custom module made just for Frankfurt.
Right.
Just because of the size of the map itself. But that's something I can talk to Uwe about to see if there are larger tables and if we can get him to do a defensive Frankfurt for us.
Right. Or if there is an actual way that exists that 8 maps can be shrunk to fit that space. And then the counters can be shrunk. It
can be shrunk, but then you're starting to really shrink the counters down really small.
Right.
And I don't know how well the zoom in feature and how
that's my only concern is whether the zoom will work. Because if the zoom works, you'd be good to go. But if the zoom doesn't work, then it's
right.
You
may have to shrink it smaller than you can really see the counters.
Right.
So, but that, like I said, that's something we'd have to talk to Uwe about because he's our TTS guy.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Hey guys, I'm going to take a little break here and just show us off something. So I'm sure this might generate some questions.
Love that music.
All right. And no tanks were hurt while making that project, a commercial.
That was the view you wanted of that Russian tank, though. The flank. But that's a different game.
But so if anyone has any questions about that little part, these are the guys to ask. If not, I will move us up. What frame are we on to? I think we're on. I think we just showed 7, but no, we showed. Did we show this one?
7 or
guys?
8.
No, we showed
Yep,
that one.
we saw that
Yeah, I
one.
showed that one.
Yep.
We're up to 9. Sorry, there we go.
These are good shots, Joe. So that looks like M1s.
That one's those are the center Abrams, but companies. So
Yeah, so
there's
the
3 Abrams companies.
Yeah, the
You
yellow
see
orange there
attached,
and the pale
Vulcan,
green.
and then there's also a armored cavalry troop.
Right. So the
And
armored
that's kind of
cavalry.
the NATO mobile reserve.
Yeah, the armored cavalry, the red banded counters there, and under that HQ are the 2 M1 platoons, and then the other 2 counters sit out there. Obviously, are the Bradley cavalry fighting vehicles.
I will also point out this is one of my favorite areas of the map because this is the western end of the Valley of
Yep.
Death.
Yeah.
So all that grain field that you see in the lower left-hand corner extends about another 12, 15 hexes and about 8 or 10 hexes wide with another 2 bridges crossing the river. Yeah, I love that area. That's my favorite. Everybody raves about the suburbs of Frankfurt and how cool it is with all the cities. No, I like the Valley of Death. Give me the Valley. I'm perfect. I love the Valley of Death.
I have been known to put the very few Soviet anti-tank guns
So
on that
looks
hill,
like it's lined
basically,
up
they're
for
facing
another
west. I'm sorry, Jeff, you were saying?
Question for whoever wants to answer it.
I see. Brilliant. I'm so pumped. Thank you. We are too.
You'll be pumped once it's published.
That's always the case, but we have to stress until we get there. So,
Okay.
oh, this is an overview. This is looking north. So literally, it's like the east, the right side is where the Soviets are coming from, and the west is where the west is coming from.
So this is an
but-
overview looking from the south again.
Yeah.
You see everything.
So the Soviets have been pushed
from,
into the upper right
basically,
corner.
looking to the north.
Yeah, and then the lower right, you can see the flanking regiment. So what's that stuff in the lower left there? What's the NATO units in the city with the rubble there, Jeff? Just to the left of the Soviet of the East German regiment. Jeff, can you hear me?
See, you
Can it-
offended him, Keith.
Huh?
I said, see, you offended him. Now he's not even
I guess so. Is he having sound issues?
Jeff, you having sound issues?
Which, of course, he's not going to answer if he's having sound issues, but I had to ask.
Well, maybe he could hear us, but I don't see it. A private chat. My sound seems to have cut out. That's Jeff. Oh, Jeff gone.
Oh, there it is. My sound seems to have cut out. Okay, well, I gotta go with it. I can't see quite what the units are, just because I'm kind of bleary-eyed and don't have my computer glasses on. But I do see some rubble markers there, and that's what I was talking about. A rubble marker doesn't get rid of a bridge. That would be a bridge destroyed marker. But the fact that it's on the other side of the bridge is going to make it tough for you to assault across the bridge, and the bridge itself makes that tough too.
All right, Jeff's back.
Nope, you're back.
You want to ask the question again?
Yeah. So Jeff, the lower left there, to the left of the East German regiment, there's the rubble markers and stuff. And what units are inhabiting those rubble markers? And
That is a D company of the 3/8 infantry.
there we go.
So
Is that M113s in infantry?
Yep, and ITV and attack, tow support weapons,
Okay.
waiting to greet the T-72s. So, and as you mentioned, there's the rubble there in the city, really to kind of slow that down as any kind of highway path. So they're going to have to go, slog through it or bump around it.
All right.
Next slide.
I think this is the first one, but yeah. So and these lays out the cards.
Right.
That are
So
formations.
Yeah. So Jeff, there's a lot of cards in this scenario, which means that there's a lot of action. And how does it play? How does it feel?
Yeah. So NATO starts off with like 29 cards, I think, and
No.
the pack starts off with like 18 or so.
Oof.
I find that in the larger scenario, in the small scenarios where you have 1 or 2 formations, a lot of times, for the most part, so 2-to-1 ratio for cards. In these larger scenarios, you're really gonna you really need to try to get closer to a 1.5-to-1 ratio in terms of NATO versus Warsaw Pact. Otherwise, you're liable to get across those strings of activations that can really decimate one side or the other. I kind of learned this way back in the first edition games when they had the Swedish module come out. They had scenarios where the Swedes, now numerically the forces should have been or pretty reasonable, but the Swedes would have like 8 cards and the Soviets would have 2, and right. So it's either the Soviets activate first and then they get wiped out, or they get wiped out and then they activate and they can have 1 platoon to use.
Right.
I think a question for Jeff.
Yep. We haven't talked too much about it. We'll probably have a module with the Kickstarter. I will make some tweaks to the aside from the clarifications and stuff that we came out with the errata sheet. There may be a couple of small tweaks and everything. Nothing too substantial, but there have been some things that I've been toying around with as far as the campaign. I've gotten some feedback from people that maybe the campaign's a little too ambitious. Going through 40 or 50 scenarios for a 3-day campaign. So
I don't know. Rough Swordsman did it.
Come on, Buck. Tell him to buck up.
Well, my thing is, I would just love to see kind of a quick resolution, because in a one turn I may have 8 or 12 battles, but there's only like 1 or 2 I actually want to play out. Give me some type of CRT so I can do some quick dice rolls for some quick resolution on the.
So you want to choose the battle you fight. 1 or 2 battles,
exactly.
And the rest you sort of want to resolve on.
Sounds
yes.
like a cheat sheet to me.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one.
That seems reasonable. Why did you ask that? We only get unreasonable questions.
I'm sorry. I'll make sure to make unreasonable ones in the future.
Okay.
Estimated playtime for scenario that size. Plan for a couple of days. It's just going through that number. Even if and I haven't talked to Jeff about how many operations phase complete cards there'll be, because we do have the option to put a 3rd card in, and what that does is it shortens the turns. Because there's more chance of picking 1 of 3 or 2 of 3 than there is picking 2 of 2. So with that many cards, that's a possibility to keep it manageable, but you're still going to have a whole lot of activations and a whole lot of fun. Depending on how focused you and your crew are, you can get through this pretty quickly. I mean, that's one thing. We had plenty of time when we played these scenarios at WBC when we were introducing them to kibitz and gab and discuss and all that stuff, and we still got it done in 2 days. And we would have gotten it done. We would have gotten it done sooner. It's just a fast playing game. There's just not a lot to bog it down in terms of anything other than the volume of the cards. This has a very high volume of cards, but I think people will be happy with it if you have the time for that. But yeah, it's a long scenario.
Yeah, my non-answer is it's highly variable.
Wow.
If you don't shuffle, mulligan, 6 turns of mulligan. What's going on?
That sounds like a fluke answer.
It's probably about 12 hours or something like that. 12, 15 hours solo. But
right.
It's gonna be 20 plus. It depends. The most important thing for pace of play is to have somebody there at the cards. Picking the card, keeping it going. Yeah. Because once you pick the card, then people start thinking. Yeah. That's how people relax. And that's how I relax. Like, pick the card. Oh, okay. What's the tactical situation for this guy? That's fine. Like I said, it depends on your crew. If your crew are like, we got to get this done, you'll get it done. If you guys are more kibitzers, you may need a 3-day weekend, but it'll be fun. Yeah. If you have a game marshal to move things along, and you can get a lot done and everything. So these are merely scenarios for a campaign.
Guys, little chess clocks.
What?
Little chess clocks when you play chess.
Chess clocks. Oh yeah. That would be a challenge. I'd hate it, but that would be a challenge. Yeah. I don't like to be rushed.
All right, we got 3 more, and then we got Keith's thing, and we got Nathan Hansen sitting backstage. And he will be coming up and talking about Federation, Space Infantry. And let me just get on to the next map here, guys. Okay.
So this goes to a little bit of the start. So, in this scenario, unlike some of the other a lot of scenarios, you're going to have opposing forces basically setting up pretty much on top of each other. So it is going to make for a volatile start. But the infantry forces will be basically staring at each other across the river.
Oh boy, an infantry fight. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say to everybody, the thing that surprised us as we were play balancing was the infantry fights that would pop up, because they're insane. I mean, infantry's good at assaulting. Well, when they assault each other, and especially in the Rhine. Speaking of Valley of Death, there's a valley in the Rhine that armored forces are trying to cut their way across, and eventually the BMPs, the infantry, they get across, and they're met by West German infantry, and they deploy. So we ended up with this huge infantry fight on the far side of the valley that was just really intense. And that happens a lot in this game. So, infantry are definitely a force to be reckoned with in that respect. So,
yeah.
All right. This is second to last one there.
Yep. And this is the other side of that little bridgehead, so to speak. Again, it shows on the right-hand side, the recon battalion kind of got a bloody nose, but there's a battalion of the 17th Guards Tank Regiment coming up behind it. You'll see also then towards the lower right, there's the 3 batteries of the 172nd Guards Artillery, one of which is flipped and disrupted because it got hit by a counter battery.
Yeah, that's the light brown artillery dot units in the lower right corner there.
Yeah. So, and then on the left, I think the last picture shows a little closer in picture of the airborne battalions fight with A company.
Oh, there we go.
So, this is another case where they start in close quarters. So you had A company of the 3/8 infantry sitting in the river in improved positions, and the 2 companies basically of the 900th Special Airborne, or the
separate air assault brigade, a battalion. Sorry, separate air assault battalion.
So basically 2 companies of the 900th Saab with the elements of the 3rd Battalion, 211 tanks, going in against the American infantry that also had a Abrams attached. And in this case, it was just happened that the Soviets activated first. The airborne have 2 cards, just like the Americans. So the luck of the draw was the Soviets got off the mark first. They got repelled actually in the first attack, and then the Americans activated, disrupted a couple other units. But then the Soviets got their artillery online. So the forward observer called in fire, disrupted, and that's how the airborne was able to get across the river in their second activation. And then in the upper top of the corner, you see the yellow Leo 2 company coming in, and they destroyed the airborne's mortar and 1 platoon there. They also took out one of the T-64 platoons, which you see the wreck marker there.
Nice. All right. Well, now we have a little something that I don't think anyone's seen yet. And Keith, you're on.
Well, I'm going to preface that actually with, just so you guys know, I don't have any graphics on this one, but we are working on pontoon engineering rules. And with that will be ferry rules, where the engineers will be able to ferry with pontoons. That's as much as I can tell you because it's still in development, but we're definitely looking to put that in. One of the things we were trying to do is, and I'm actually looking for feedback from you guys as to whether you like this. I'm going to show you a couple of samples. The playable area maps, it's basically the setup map in the scenarios. It was we kind of put it together. There were time deadlines and things like that. But what I'd like to do with it is put as much information on that map as possible and make it a visual way of showing you like setup areas instead of trying to describe an odd area that's an odd shape that ends on this road on the east and this river on the west, and to visually show you where it is. The description will still be in there, but that way, if there's something that you guys need to know, you can, at a glance, you can see it. So here's a couple samples of what we're working up. These are not final. So if you will show the first one, please.
Okay. Well, which one is the first one?
Either one.
Whichever one you put up first.
Whichever one you
will
put
be
up
the
first, because
one.
I don't remember what order I sent them to you.
Well, I got one's map 6 and one's map 7. Which one would you like to see first?
Let's put map 7 up first. Actually,
Here's
I
map
think
6.
that's the earlier. Yeah, right. So, for example, this is just one of your one map scenarios, but it has a complex setup area for the British. So there's a description of that area, believe it or not, a text description, which can pose proofing problems too, which we want to minimize. But you can see here, objective A is in the upper left corner, and it shows you where you put your objective marker, and the blue hexes show you what the entire objective is. Same thing for your objective B on the right side of the map, where you see where you put the objective marker that comes in your counter set, and what the objective represents, the objective hex itself, and the hex and the other blue hexes. The Soviet entrance hex, which is an easy one, but the British setup area is pretty complex. It tells you exactly what it is visually. It will also, as I said, be reflected in the setup text for whatever British are setting up in there. But it might say, here's your description, see British setup area 1. That's the plan. So this is one example. David, if you bring up another example, and we can leave that one up. There's a little bit more complexity on the entrance areas. So on the left, the British entrance area, and it'll say this, British entrance hexes, you're either coming through A, all 4 hexes of A, or coming through B, your choice. Same thing on the Soviet entrance side. They're either coming in the 3 hexes of A, or they're coming in the 4 hexes of B. And again, this is a smaller, simpler scenario. The larger scenarios I will save you from because they're just more complex and juicier too. So I kind of want to hold those in reserve. But so I am looking for, right now, if you guys have any feedback on whether this is a direction you want us to go or not a direction you want us to go, you just want the map. Oh, there's one vote from Devin. Okay, but you're how can I say? That's one vote. Yay. So that's kind of what the direction we're heading with this, where as much setup information goes on these maps, bridges that you need to take. There's some other things in there. There's entire panels of setup areas. Sometimes it's just a setup hex, like you saw. There's one scenario that has you have to set up chemical strikes in an area.
I remember that scenario.
Yeah, right. You balance that scenario.
Yes, I do.
And so it has the chemical zone, which is basically where you're allowed to place these strikes before the game starts. That kind of thing. And that's what I have. So I guess I'm just waiting if there's any, it could be just yes or no. I don't know, put a vote up or something. Put a poll up. Can you put a poll up? Everything's got polls nowadays.
I think someone's asking. There we go. Let's see.
That is the goal, private public. That is absolutely the goal. So I just need to make sure you guys are like feeling it the way I'm feeling. It's not difficult to do them, and it does give us hard copy to, and this is an inside view for you guys, it gives us hard copy to proof those descriptions against. And the likelihood is that if one slips by us, and I don't want that to happen this time, but if the text slips by us, that the map's going to rule, and that may be the way I play it. But haven't decided on that. And first and foremost, I want to get it right. I'm trying to make it easier to get right too, behind the scenes here. For
one quick question that someone just asked me off screen. What's the exact footprint size on the Frankfurt map? It's like
54 by 39.
It's big.
46.
It's big.
We'll put it this way. The maps are, let's see, it's 4 times 13 is 40, 50, 52.
Right.
And then it's roughly 19-ish because it's like 19 and a quarter. So 38, so call it 39. So like 52 by 39 without any space around it.
So
does that help?
5 feet by 3, a little over 3 foot.
Roughly.
Roughly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you add the next set of 8 maps for the new master campaign,
I'm waiting for someone to put all the maps together and go, I'm going to play on this. I'm like, you think this scenario takes a long time?
We won't
actually
need campaign rules because we'll just have the entire map out.
Right.
Right.
And then that offboard, the fact that the artillery have actual ranges on them, that'll come in really handy.
Come into play.
What do you mean you're at 150 hexes and you're going to hit me?
I'll be.
Okay, guys, next question. Yes, I can answer that one.
Yeah.
In the module. We're going to change it to the companion booklet, but yes, the module rules and scenarios as you know them now, that's where they'll be found.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the setup map. I mean, you have to know where the maps go. So we're just kind of building on top of that.
Paul's got a complaint, buddy.
Not the bright colors, too much contrast with the map. You mean Paul, you mean the bright colors on the on like the setup areas? I mean, that's but like the setup hexes that has the A's and the B's and that kind of thing. Like the Soviet red on the right there. And of course the Soviet red on the right there. Soviets get red. Why is that?
Okay, hold on. Okay, we're waiting for Paul to answer. We've got here we go. Here's another one. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, it's that's another goal, Chad, is Chet said anything to speed the setup would be welcome. And that's my thing is I want to visually streamline actually the scenario format so that you don't have to fish back and forth to see where your guys are, where the setup is. We are streamlining that as well to take out some of the redundancies that ended up being corrections. There's no need to list things 2 and 3 times. So we're really trying to streamline it. We're going to list, the side that sets up first will be listed first. There's not going to be, we got sort of twisted in terms of banners and things where we had, the formations, and then we had a support banner, and then we had a designated formation banner. Like, no, your forces are your forces. We're going to have specific formatting for, say, your off-board artillery, your designated formations, your close air support, your helicopters, but they're just going to be additional, things in your setup. So it will say, British setup, and have your formations and your helicopters and your artillery. And then it will, and say you set up first. If you set up first, Soviet set up second, their banner will come up. Soviet second, they have all their things listed. And then everybody's reinforcements, no matter nationality, listed in turn order with a big turn on it. So you just go to the book and say, turn 2, this comes on for me, this comes on for you. Turn 3, this comes off for me. Whatever it is, we're going to make sure so that you can basically play down the scenario and you can set up down the scenario, and you can play down the scenario instead of having to go back and forth.
Just the images that we're showing are images that Keith made up to give to our graphic artist.
Right. So, Blackwell does that stuff. I just happen to have the toys.
I would recommend that we let Blackwell know that he can tone down some of the colors if you think it's necessary, or change them, or whatever you decide.
Right.
No, let him keep with the fluorescence and the neons. He needs to get those colors out. We need to let him have that outlet.
Well, let him do that in your series.
No, mine's historically accurate.
What, fluorescent pink never happened in
there were no pink Panthers, all right?
But on the Panzer Commanders, the lapel is actually pink.
Well, yes, the piping, yeah, pink piping was for the artillery forces, and it's not pink; it's light red. All right, so it's not pink; it's light red.
Depends on your Photoshop filter.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we have Nathan Hansen, like I said, sitting backstage. If we have any more questions for the World at War guys, we will have many more shows as we torment them closer to the Kickstarter release.
One more torment.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys so much for your support and your feedback. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to more.
Keith, Jeff, always a pleasure.
Mr. OG.
Okay,
all right.
guys.
Jeff, we'll talk to you soon.
Hold on.
David, you too.
You too, buddy.
All right, take care.
Take care. Okay. And we'll be right back in a second, guys. This does not work.
On the air with Lock and Load Publishing. We'll be right back after this message.
Hey, Nathan, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
I don't think we've ever met in person, have we?
No, well, COVID happened before we could, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, it's great to have you on. It's great to see you and meet you. And we're not even that far because you're 40 minutes away tops at most.
We're in Southern Colorado, I'm in Northern Colorado. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. So I know Devin has been reading your rule book and fixing Blackwell's typos.
Blackwell's typos, not yours. Blackwell's.
No, probably mine.
Make sure they're.
And so, no, basically, everybody online, if you have any questions about the game, I guess we'll start. Nathan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the game is about, what the game is?
Basic premise of the game is where, the Federation's just gotten to the point where it can settle worlds outside of its own system, and this is the process they're trying to expand out. It's a solitaire game. It was originally going to be a States of Siege game, but we used to work at Victory Point Games. So if anybody's familiar with that, that's the core engine. But what's really different about it is it doesn't use cards at all. Instead, it has a sort of a sliding pool of action. So it's not always your turn. Sometimes it's the alien faction's turn. That each tile is whose turn it is. So a pool of them that'll come down a river track of things. Some of them are yours, some of them are alien factions. And there's also a whole political system and diplomacy, which I'm very proud of. And yeah. Oh, and the economy is kind of cool too, because it's instead of having just action every turn, you have so many actions per turn kind of thing like you do with cards. You get to kind of plan it. You say, I need to have this resource soon. So you do a die roll to see when you're going to get them, and you kind of figure out how far away they'll be. So you can kind of plan ahead when you'll have certain actions available.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll let Devin. I know Devin's got the rulebook underneath him, and I got some images here, guys, just so you know, from the map, the county sheet. Actually, it's the wrong game, so I don't guess. Here we go. And some of the playing tables that are in the game. And Dev, I'll let you take this over and talk about the game.
Well, the one thing I want to say first off is that you've got some mechanics in here that I've never seen in State of Siege games before, and I think that advances it more than just a State of Siege game. People know State of Siege games, like you said. Victory Point Games have made them famous, and Hollandspiel's been doing a lot of them. I think Stilicho was the most recent one that they did was a State of Siege game. But the thing that I found unique about yours is it's almost like a 4X game, because you've got the diplomacy aspect. In most State of Siege games, every track, they're all coming at you at once. And this one, everybody but the mercs start at peace with Earth. And so that kind of gives you a little bit of breathing room. And why don't you explain the victory conditions a little bit? Because that kind of goes into how the diplomacy works. Oh,
yeah. Okay. So basically, you win the game if you can settle all the worlds. That's the only way you win. But there's several ways you can lose. Because it's a siege game, obviously, if anything gets to Seoul, gets central place, you lose. You've conquered. And it's actually if they're there at the end of your turn, so you technically have a chance to push them out if they get there in the turn. The other ways you can lose is if your internal politics tracks all get to 0, essentially, because there's two things that can push up, and then they'll overflow into internal stability. If that stability ever gets to 0, that's supposed to represent essentially it could either be an uprising or you're voted out of power or anything like that. The people are not happy and they've taken you out of power. So that's the other way you can lose. And the third way you could lose is if every alien technology track is completely filled up, they've just outclassed you. You can't compete. You're the backwoods people. You're never going anywhere.
So yeah, that right there struck me as, wow, this is really cool. I don't have to worry if I can maintain peaceful relations with a couple of these tracks. I don't have to worry about having to deal with those tracks until I'm ready for it. The other thing that really struck me as really cool, and also kind of with the 4X element, is that you have technological research. You can actually get new techs while you're playing the game. And I think that's just really, really cool.
And every alien faction gets techs, and they get their balance of techs is different than each other. So that's part of how they're really unique.
And the espionage, that was the other thing that I noticed, is that you can actually use your espionage to slow down the alien tracks other than just combat. So if you want to touch on the espionage a little bit.
Oh, sure. So espionage can be used a couple ways. I mean, every resource can use at least 3 ways. Espionage is one of the resources. You can use it to try to remove alien text. And that's basically you spend it, put it back into the pool to make a die roll. And if you happen to roll the same spot on a track as one of the things that covered up, it gets removed and goes back into their pool, and they might get back later. You can also deploy it, which is anytime you take a resource and you put it somewhere on the board, it has a lasting effect. You can deploy it to block them from getting tech. It's not guaranteed, but it's like 2/3 odds of blocking it. And you could also do stuff to manipulate the politics stuff. You could place it to manipulate the relationships, to have a chance of manipulating the relationships between the different factions. So like you could, if they're going to go to war, you can try to stop it, or you can let it through. Yeah.
And this is not your first design. You've got a hassle of designs out there.
I think I have 7 games that I published with Victory Point Games, and I've done 2 games now as self-publishing technically. One is a print and play on my website, and the other I actually did a Kickstarter for, and I'm self-manufacturing. So yeah, I've done a few.
Just a few, right?
And I've also, not just my designs, I've also done a lot of development games. I've been a developer on at least 12 or more games.
I think BGG has you rated at like 24 games that you've got your name on out there in one way, shape, or form or another. This one, looking over your titles, this one looks like one of your more ambitious projects. What was, since you worked for Victory Point Games made Stage Siege games, what was the foundation and the thought process that went into your designing this game with these new mechanics that aren't normally seen in a Stage Siege game?
This game goes back at least 10 years. It actually, it technically was intended to be a whole series of games in its own universe before we put it into the Federation, into the Space Infantry universe. But it started off before I was a VPG, working out of my apartment for a small company that makes iPhone apps. It was just 3 of us, so really small. And while waiting for people to get there for meetings, like if with only 2 of us there, we would discuss this universe, and it blew up from the end. That ended up becoming an RPG campaign down the road, and then I really liked the universe, so I started putting all my games, my more ambitious games, into that universe. And when I decided I wanted to make a State of Siege game, yeah, and the main thing I wanted to solve was State of Siege, actually, which is not really a problem, but it's State of Siege games are very, to me, tactical. They're situation respond to, you can't plan ahead, and I wanted to make some plan ahead. That's the whole reason the resources got taken out of like a card system, and so you can plan it ahead.
Oh, that's interesting. Hey, we got a question for you. There you go.
Yes, I think, I'm not sure. We took some of the factions that were in the Space Infantry.
Yeah, I think
with the system.
Yeah, all 5 of the factions that show up in Federations did come from Resurgence. So it has been slid into the existing Space Infantry. Yeah,
to make it work, but
right.
Okay. I I think this is a request, Nathan, for you to work on another game design.
There easily could be, actually. I do. The Civil War game I pitched you before. I have another game in the same universe that uses the same engine.
Wow, see that being very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a war for Europa, so it's the whole circular. I mean, the globe. It loops around. So
Okay.
yeah, I did that.
All right, I have. Hold on. I'm going to throw up an image up here. Make sure I got the right game. There we do. Okay, and you maybe want to talk a little bit about the map.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, each color is a different faction, and everything sort of moves towards Seoul in the middle. I'm pointing at the screen like that. People can tell what I'm doing.
I figured it. I saw you.
So the tracks with the dice next to them, those are actually their technology tracks. So you fill those up from the largest number first. So when they get a new tech, it would fill in the 6th spot and the 5th spot, etc. And then the other tracks are their spawning locations. Each faction has 3 fleets. Most of them have a scout fleet, a raider fleet, and a invasion fleet. And they have slightly different mechanics on how they work. Basically, scouts tend to just move faster and they go first. They're fairly weak. There's a few technologies that make them move faster as well. Raiders are same kind of thing. They're a little bit more powerful. They also have technology that make them move a little faster occasionally. But what's really interesting about them is they will actually attack the planets, whereas the other ones won't. So once you settle on the worlds, they will try to kick you out. And then the invasion fleets are just big uber fleets that come in and stomp you. They're hoping. There's one other kind of fleet, actually, with the bots, the green, not bots, sorry. That's the old name. I forgot the new name. Cybers.
I think that is it. Yep.
They have one of their techs is just a really uber fleet that you basically can't kill. You can knock it back, but you can't kill it.
Oh, interesting. All right. You got any questions or comments on this, Dev?
Nope.
Okay. These are the counters. And I don't know if you want to. I think these are just some of the counters, right, Nathan?
One of the sheets.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 sheets that's of that same size. The flags, so the upper left corner where the flags, the medals, looks like barrels. Those are the resources. So, and those are your actions. So those come down the track on the right-hand side of the board, and essentially you can use each one of those for up to 3 different things. Either you spend them or deploy them, as I said earlier. There's also sacrifice abilities, which are you take the resource and it's out of the game, and those are more powerful for you're losing it. But the resources there, the flag is diplomacy. The one to the right looks like barrel is it's warp stuff. So it's essentially the way I think of it is it's like Stargate technology. So because it allows you to access another faction that's off the map, and they're an ally.
Yeah. Okay.
The metal is that allows you to manipulate internal politics stuff, and as a sacrifice, you actually get some of the resources back that you sacrificed previously. The major effect it has is a deploy. You can open up more tracks for more resources to come down, so it makes your resources more efficient. The pink one is an eyeball. It's the espionage, like as I discussed earlier. So we can move on from there. The green is maneuver. That's how you move your ships around. It's also being used to give you some benefits in combat. Basically, outmaneuvering is the idea. And then the gray gear one is for building stuff. That's how you get more fleets into the world, moving around. Also, how you build bases, which so the two resources you absolutely need to win the game are maneuver and build. The others you technically don't need, but they really make things easier.
Someone's asking what you keep saying the game is based on. The game is based on, the original game was called Space Infantry, and there was an add-on to that. I don't even remember what that was called. And we updated it with the original designer in Blackwell, and it's in a 3-inch deep box. It's about 7 or 8 pounds. It has multiple play modes. It's a solitaire game mostly, but it also does have multiplayer aspects of it. We're playing with friends, either co-op, and the cards now have the different nodes on them. So when you play something, a different card will come up. Before it was fixed. So once you played a node, you always knew what that node was going to be, whether it was an enemy or a base. Now it changes around. You don't even necessarily know the strength or what the enemy is. So that's what it's originally based on. We basically, I guess, retrofitted it into Nathan's game. I hope that answers that question. And let me see, where is the other stuff I have here? I don't have the other counters, which is probably, I could have swore I had taken pictures of the manual with some questions, but let's see. Yep, someone has a question. Let's see.
Most of the other counter sheet, if I remember correctly, is it's the tokens for the track of your turns and action turns.
Okay, Chet. Yeah, what we'll probably do is have Nate Rogers, Gimpy Gamer, as he's known by online, do a playthrough of the game as well as explain the rules. I don't know if Nathan even knows what we're talking about. We run a series of videos called the boot camp.
I'm planning on doing a playthrough if that helps.
Oh, okay. There you go.
As soon as I can, yeah.
The boot camp is basically we take each rule section, and Nate explains that rule section in 3 to maximum 4-minute little videos, not to replace the rules, but be more or less an enhancement to them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that hopefully that answers that question there. Okay, let's see what else I have here. Hold on. Okay, I'm not sure what these screens are, but I will leave it to you to explain.
Yeah, that is that one goes on the left-hand politics side. So the upper section is the middle part of the upper section is your internal politics. That's the track I mentioned earlier, where it gets to 0 in the middle, you lose. So that's all the internal politics. You can actually manipulate that a little bit with morale too.
Okay.
The 4 things around it are where you can place your espionage and deploy it to manipulate their interaction with each other. So each of those, yeah. And then the track between them is their current state of war or peace or wherever. It's their relationship with each other. Okay. The section below that, the war effort, is effectively what types of turns of theirs matter. So, and I think this needs to be updated slightly, but
it might be from the older marketing stuff. So
yeah, I think it is, but that's fine. So, but that basically had which types of turns matter. So whether they would advance, they only advance if they're basically at war with you. They're not going to try to attack you. They'll gain tech when they're at Cold War, but they won't attack you at Cold War, kind of thing. And then when they get down to Total War, they'll advance. They'll do whatever the turn is, and they'll advance. So yeah, and then as you get technology, you fill them in the Federation technologies area, so you can. Yeah, and then the bottom piece is actually where that's where they slide along. This is an old version because it used to use dice, and those are dice placement locations. But it's the same basic thing, and the tiles get placed there and they slide along from left to right. And when they get all the way to the right, you do them.
All All right. Here's another one. This might be a smaller. Yeah. Okay. Don't worry about that one yet.
Yeah, this is in the rulebook. This actually is all the boards. So the policy board says on the left. The resource board is the only one we haven't discussed. That's on the right. The upper part is where your technology is and your research process. You can actually load that kind of creatively. You don't have to do one research project at a time. You can put multiple projects going at once, and then when you do research, you roll for all of them, and they all might advance, or maybe only one will advance. But you up your odds by filling it up.
Okay. Here's the resource board a little bit larger for you.
Okay.
Not the resource. Sorry, not the resource.
Yeah. Okay. So, the middle thing, there's resource pool. That's any resource you currently have access to. You don't start the game with access to all of them, which is what the locked assets thing on the right is. As you settle worlds, you unlock things, including resources, including being able to make more ships, different research projects you can do. And it's basically what you unlock from those, and it depends on which world you decide to build. What kind of base you decide to build is which one you get. It's not based on location. You can decide to put any one of those, any one of the world spaces. And then the resource track is how you get the resources. Basically, when you decide, when you get to the end of your turn, when you have your turn, you roll some dice depending on how many worlds you have settled. You roll more if you have more worlds, and the result is where you get to put a resource, but you decide what resource you put there. So, for example, if you know you need builds right away, you're going to put those in the lower numbers rather than the higher numbers. Well, higher numbers rather than lower numbers, so they're closer to you. That's basically playing that board, I think.
Okay, and I think we
That's
may.
the question.
Okay. I'm sorry. You showed this already, right? Yes, we did.
Yep, we did.
All right, guys. Any questions for Nathan? Dev,
Oh, I think I definitely touched on the things that I wanted to definitely point out what separated this from normal State of Siege games, which I think is really cool.
Seems a lot more advanced than the State of Siege.
Yes, there's much more involved with it. So,
it seems not to be so on a driven path, and I think that's what you were shooting for, right, Nathan?
Yeah, I wanted to make it more strategic, less tactical. Which the bigger ones tend to be more strategic, but I wanted to be able to see past that turn.
Right.
Yeah, because really in most State of Siege games, it's you're dealing with what crisis is tossed into your face, and you don't have a chance.
Management games.
Right. Exactly. So I don't think anybody's got what? Nobody has any questions? Come on, people. I can't be the only one that's excited about a new State of Siege game coming out.
Well, the other thing which Nathan and I discussed is a game on the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir in Korea.
That's when I actually had published through Victory Point Games. I have the rights back, so I'm looking for someone to publish it again.
So we're going to be, God willing, we'll be doing that one, guys. And you'll be hearing more on that as we move forward.
We discussed the Civil War one too.
I want to talk a little bit about that design.
The shallow one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the basic way that it's my attempt to make that engine is my attempt to make a real-time strategy feeling game. It's not actually real time. It's still turn-based. But once you give something an order, it keeps moving. It keeps doing its thing until something happens to make it stop. The way that works is because the counters are double-sided, one side is their moving side, and their strength is different when they're moving than when they're stationary. When they're stationary, they're more defensive, stronger in general, but they can actually hurt somebody else. And they have strength in all 6 directions. That's different. So they're stronger in the front and they're in the back. So if you move into another unit from the back, it's easier to hurt them or kill them. Is the core idea behind it. And the way the movement works is there's 5 phases. I think it's 5 phases. I can't remember now. I don't have one copy in front of me, but there's multiple phases. One of the phases is a cleanup phase. One of the phases is a special movement phase for when things are moving along roads. And the other phases are for the different types of units. So like infantry move during this phase, during this phase, and cavalry would move during this phase. So they have different times when they move. In some phases, multiple types of units will move. So that's how you control the speed of things.
Okay.
Kind of wish I could show the board right now.
Yeah, I
because it has it's instead of having like terrain where it's like this terrain has this effect kind of thing. What I did is along the borders to all the hexes, I have symbols for what the effect is for moving into that across that line, effectively. So like if a fence line goes along an edge, then you have a defensive. Well, it's harder to move over it. Kind of, there's movement penalties and there's attack bonuses. Is kind of the two ways of affecting. So going over a fence costs you more movement. So you have to spend one of your moves by putting a token on saying, yep, he moved. And when you have enough movement tokens that match the thing, you can actually move. You can take them off. The other thing, the attack bonus is like if you're on a hill and you're going down, you're going to have attack bonus, and that just gives you +1 strength effectively when going down. There is no die rolls. It is a purely deterministic system, but because things keep moving without unless you tell them to stop. It's very easy to lose track of things, and it's very much about maneuvering. Yeah.
don't have that available.
Yeah.
I guess this is about Space Infantry Federation. Chad, I do believe Nathan said he was going to be filming a playthrough of it, right?
Yes, I plan to as soon as I think you said I was going to get 2 counters. I can print everything else up and.
Yeah, well, we have everything ready to go besides the counters, which is what we're looking
So
for.
as soon as I have counters, I can print everything else in my own printer and if necessary and get it out. I look forward to doing that actually.
And the other game that we are we basically have an agreement on, but we just haven't finalized. I have talked to the artist, just so Nathan doesn't know this yet, but I have talked to the artist and we got everything worked out. Okay.
Okay, cool.
The Chosin Reservoir.
Yeah. And you want to explain? I mean, I've read some really nice things about it. One of the 2 things I read that people felt it was a little bit too random, I guess. But a lot of people think it wasn't random at all, and they thought it was a really great strategy game. So it just shows you how war can be 100% on both sides of the coin.
It's very brutal. I usually when I make a solitaire game, what I try to do is make it so you win about 25% of the time, because that's roughly like a 4-player game if everyone's equal.
That makes sense.
I tuned Chosen Few to where I win 5% of the time. Being where I win 5%. I'm very experienced. I've played it probably 100 times since it's been published, but I still only win about 5% of the time. So, and that's because, I mean, if you look at the battle and what was going on, they really shouldn't have survived. And I wanted that was a design goal to make sure people really felt if they managed to win, which winning is you still lost the battle, you just survived. So if you manage to do that, I want people to really feel like it was you accomplished something. So that's why I did that. But the way the system works is it's again similar to State Siege, but it's not a State Siege. I don't think of it as a State Siege because you actually aren't a central location. You move around, but it follows tracks in a similar way. Except that the way that they move around is based on your current location. So there's a color coding on the board for the different locations that you're allowed to be, and there's a whole bunch of colored arrows that basically are the AI system for the game. So all the cubes, the Chinese are represented by cubes in this. They're 4 different colors. When that color moves, they will look at where you are, and you have 2 units, and if one of your units is in a color that matches the arrow they can do, they move towards that arrow. Otherwise, they move on a white arrow. And it causes them to actually move in a way that's basically identical to the way that they moved historically, and they wrapped around you and surrounded and came from behind and made it so they had to have to do a breakthrough. But you can also move in different ways, and they might move slightly differently, but they still they tend to try to do the same kind of thing. They try to surround you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Chet is asking about a price point. Where's my mouse? Here we go. And I can safely say, not as much as I would like, probably more than you want. we haven't even got that far yet, but but obviously we'll have that before release, but we just don't have anything now. And there's another one.
Oh,
okay.
Your dad is a hero. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. Hey, Nathan, anything particularly you like?
Very emotional for me when I did a lot of research on it, and it blew my mind researching that. So your dad is a hero.
I don't think Korea gets enough interest by gamers. I don't think they kind of skip from World War II and you go right to Vietnam.
Yeah,
and it's a very fascinating campaign when you look at it.
Surprisingly few Korean games.
Yes.
I think I found one other game while I was researching it.
Sad, but yeah, I can see that. Is there anything else, Nathan, you'd like to discuss or bring up or anything else?
Not that's coming to mind right now. I'm here to answer questions, of course, but.
Okay, people, this is your big opportunity. Ask all the questions you want.
I did have a quick one. The Civil War one you said you were working on, the RTS. Is that kind of generic Civil War era, or is it covering a specific battle?
Specifically on the Battle of Shiloh. It's called
okay.
The name I'm calling it is the Devil's Own Day.
Mm-hmm.
That game actually started as a design challenge. So I will probably have to do a little more research as we finalize that one to make sure I get to do things right. Because that was a while back. I was doing weekly design challenge where I would just do a random Wikipedia article, and that's what I make a game on. And I came up with a unit that was only in that one battle. So made the game of that battle. Yeah, it's crazy, some of the stuff about that Chosin. I will say this: I can't look at Tootsie Rolls the same way anymore after doing research on Chosin.
Really?
Oh yeah. To this day, the Tootsie Roll company still sends at least to vet organizations for the veterans of Chosin Reservoir, because okay, this is kind of a cool story. So the code words changed, and message didn't get through to someone in Japan who was receiving the codes. They were calling for more Tootsie Rolls because what they really wanted was mortar rounds. And the day before, Tootsie Roll was the code word for mortar round, and they were saying they want more Tootsie Rolls. Well, okay, send them Tootsie Rolls.
Wow.
But it was actually a blessing because they were running out of food. Too, they were short on food. It was so cold that they really could, that the tanks and the engine blocks were like breaking, but they were actually able to patch the engine blocks with Tootsie Roll, and it would freeze almost instantly.
Wow.
They would like shoot and patch it, and that's how they got a lot of the equipment out of there.
Really?
And, yeah. So there's a monument like somewhere where they have like, it's basically a case with a soldier and for the battle, and in that monument they have Tootsie Roll wrappers in there because of that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. I unfortunately I only found that out after VPG published it, so I couldn't put a story about that in the book. I wanted to afterwards, but yeah.
Well, we have the power to fix that.
But yeah, no, I can't look at Tootsie Roll the same way.
No, I can see why. I'm going to put this up here. And we're going to come back to this question because you got to tell us what game you're asking that question about.
Yes.
We go to another question and come back to that one. Okay.
There's not currently planned to be a multiplayer. I think there will be a whole new game. I could do it where I made another game or was the reverse, but there's not currently a system for that.
Yeah, it was always designed as a solitary game. So I forgot how I came across it. I think maybe Mo must have brought it to my attention.
Yeah, Mo brought it to you.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He talked to me on Twitter about it and asked if I found someone for it, and yeah, brought your attention.
Okay. He's asking about the new game based on State of Siege. So that's the game that we're talking about that's based on Stage of Siege. And it really, I kind of think it falls into its own category just simply because of the mechanics.
It's Stage of Siege in that there's a central location you're defending. That's the end of the comparison.
Yeah.
Right. So it's called Space Infantry Federation. Okay. And that goes back to the question of what is the turn sequence like?
Right. Okay. So there's a river of tokens, effectively, that represent different turns. So they could be your turn, it could be alien faction turns, and they're not always in the same order. They slide from right to left, and when it gets to your turn, so when it's on an alien faction turn, you just do whatever the thing says. Well, you check to see what the current political status is, and maybe you do what it says, depending on that. And then when it gets to your turn, you may spend as many resources as you want, and then you roll. Actually, you advance the resources. They come down, get closer to you, so you can actually get resources to spend. Then you may spend as many as you want, and then you roll to see what new resource you get. And then you go. And then when that turns over, you put that back in the. You always put the Federation turns back into the pool, and when you do that, you can put any previous alien faction turns back into the pool as well. They will slowly deplete until you eventually get a player turn to make sure it doesn't, have a run of you have no hope. I hope that made sense.
I followed you. That does make sense to me. All right. Hold on one second, guys. I'm gonna take another quick break. And
transmitting from the front lines of the wargaming world, you are watching Friendly Fire. Friendly Fire. The show where you can watch, learn, and even play our games live online. We will be showing some of our favorite tactics and answer your game questions. This is Friendly Fire.
all right, and Nathan, that might be something too with Devin. We're making this interactive podcast where you can basically play the game online as people are asking you questions or asking you rules or strategies, arguing over strategies. Here we go. Another question. How are the enemy factions unique?
Right. I have trouble remembering the names of the factions now because I keep going back to the old faction, so I'll try to do my color. So the red faction tends to tend to be faster and move towards soul faster. So there's a swarm tactics.
Right.
The yellow faction, which is just I'm going to go kind of rotate around clockwise. The yellow faction has the really cool ability they have. It's like they all have different numbers on their fleets. The cool ability that the yellow faction has is they actually have a forced pursuit thing. So if you defeat their fleets but don't kill them, so you don't do enough damage to actually wipe them out, they can force you to have one of your fleets chase after them, which of course means they could pull you out of Seoul or another faction to move into Seoul afterwards if you don't have a lot of fleets yet. So that could be kind of devastating.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. The third one around, the orange ones, I think they're orange. They used to be orange. I think they're different color now. The third one around rotating out is pirates. They actually start off aggressive. They're the only ones who actually start off aggressive towards you. They're not pirates anymore. They're different. They're mercs now, mercenaries. Gotta get better at that. Sorry, but they steal technology from their neighbors, so they can actually end up duplicating the technologies of each of their neighbors. And they also have a plunder ability where they can take resources from you.
Okay.
The next one over, rotating around, is kind of tricky how to. They're probably the least unique, if I'm honest, but they pull some of the cool abilities from each of them. Yeah, they're kind of more generalized.
Okay.
Yeah, the last one, the cybers. Like I said, mentioned earlier, they have their own unique fleet that only they have. They have an ability that makes it so that they can duplicate neighboring technologies. So one of their techs that they get is literally just the tech above and the tech below it. They have a duplicate of those. So they can get really uber. But they're basically just big, slow-moving tanks.
Okay.
And that's, I think, all of them.
Okay. And the question, it will start off as a board game, okay? And depending upon how well it's received, we would love to bring it to digital, guys. It all comes down to that. It obviously would be like all of our other games, a digital version of the board game, but it will definitely be starting off as a tabletop game. Well, I'll ask you some questions. I mean, I know you had this originally as I forget what I know the game had the word soul in it, but I don't remember.
Federation of Soul. It was
Federation of Soul.
The whole universe is the Soul series. Was the Soul series? So everything's of Soul.
Okay. What did you find most challenging, or converting it to Space Infantry? And don't say me. No.
Well, I mean, technically, it was the dice. Soul used the dice system, switching, but they're all custom dice, which is expensive. So we discussed it, and that's why we came up with the chit system, the sliding chit system. It's the same probability and everything, then making it match the probability, and that was basically the challenge of that. And then making sure that I did try to make sure that the specific balance changed slightly to make it match better with what I was sent over for the factions, because my factions aren't the same factions. Obviously, the red ones for me were insect roaches. I don't know what they are. I forget what they are now. And then, like I said, I said pirates earlier, and I think they're mercenaries now. It's different, but similar concept. Yeah.
Well, what did you like? What did you find most enjoyable about making the switch?
Well, it was a design. As much as I was like a little hesitant about changing the dice, it was a great design challenge to stop that and rethink how to do that to make it fit the counter sheet.
Yeah, and I will say this for those watching. I mean, he did it in record time. I mean, from when you got everything, when we decided to make that change, and you went down and play tested it, redesigned it, tested it again, you did it in record time. Take hint of the designers. You really did that fast.
Yeah, you design fast. That's true.
Yeah. And I know Blackwell was very impressed with the game design himself as well.
Good. But well, I'll say that part of the reason why I think I am able to do turnarounds like that is, like I mentioned, the design challenge I mentioned earlier. Those are sticking to a thing where I do a game in a week. Sometimes they're terrible, but I think that's a design challenge that most designers should do.
It makes sense, because I've had people design things, and we're in like year number 7 now. And you watch I won't mention publisher because I'm not trying to diss anybody, but I know the guys were saying on a different show that they've been waiting 6-7 years to get it done. And I don't put deadlines in our contracts because I don't want the designer to have that pressure. At the same time, there's no way in God's green earth I wanted it to take 6-7 years to get a design done. You know, unless you're making the next.
Off, in my opinion, if it's that far off, it shouldn't be submitted yet.
I totally agree.
And
I think
not all designers know when it's that far off, and it takes experience to get there.
yes, I would say that too.
So,
And you know, but there is a point where you have to kind of kick it off and say, hey, we're, you know, this is where done is. So
games are abandoned, not published.
yeah. Federation, what is the table's footprint and typical play time? I'm going to leave that to you.
For me, it plays in about 90 minutes. Usually when I demo it, it takes about 2 hours because when I'm teaching someone to play it, they're a little more learning curve. I have seen it take as long as 3, depending on the strategy you're using. If you're doing a very peaceful strategy, it tends to take longer. As far as time, the footprint, the 3 boards we showed you are each 11 by 17.
Right.
And then there's one other half board I think we didn't show you for the events. It's basically a token pool. That's all it's on, the token pool, and you place tokens on a thing.
Okay.
And that's a half of the thing. So it's a regular letter size sheet. So those are the 3 things. You can order them however you want. I tend to put it so that the main map is in the middle, horizontal, and then the political board is on my left, going vertical, and then the resource board on my right, going vertical. And then I put the other one just above it somewhere because I don't use it often. It's not every turn.
Right. I'm going to have you come back. You come up with good questions. I tell you, they always say designers never give the public a chance to ask questions or hear ideas, and we do it almost every other week. And you guys are quiet, but I'll let you answer this one, Nathan.
Yeah. Yes, you can focus on diplomacy. There actually is a diplomacy resource. You can set up embassies with the alien factions, and when you do that, you're able to prevent them from getting upset with you when you do things that are technically acts of war. So, and if you play that right, you play it clever, you can win the game without ever going to war. But that, like I said, those like 3-hour games plus, because you have to really spend time manipulating things. But you can do it. I don't think I didn't explain how combat worked today.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Can you bring up the tokens again so I can?
Okay, hold on.
But basically, every alien fleet has a number on it. So like that 5 there is actually a big one. The 4, the yellow one with that's the yellow faction's invasion fleet. So what the number is, whenever you do combat, you start with 5 dice. Then you reduce the number of that dice pool by that number, and then you add back in dice based on what you're able to add there. So if you have one of your fleets there, you're able to add the die back in. If you have an adjacent, actually even with an adjacent fleet, you can add one back in because your fleets can add to adjacent spaces. But anyway, there's several things you can add back in dice. So you take those dice and you roll them, and then you're looking for successes. Successes are 5s and 6s, and there's a tech that can make it so it's 4 or higher. So it's 3, so it's 4, 5, or 6s. But for each time you have a success, you get to push back all the fleets in the stack. So all the alien fleets. Oh, and you also reduce 1 additional die for each additional fleet from. So if you had the 4 and the 5 were in say the 4 and a 3 were in the same stack, you would actually reduce 5 dice, and then you add stuff back in. You never roll less than 1. You never roll more than 5, regardless of the math, though. But for each success you have, you push the fleet back 1 space, if you push them back more spaces than their number, then you actually kill them. Otherwise, they stay on the board.
That's nice. I like that. I like that very much.
And
Okay.
my cat wants attention.
Oh, I saw your cap when you were in the backstage area there.
This is checkers.
You a good player, or is he just goes for total annihilation like most cats?
She play tests, but she tries to make everything a dexterity game. So, yeah, she's hungry for attention because I was gone most of the day today.
Okay, and here's some more. All right. We love the fact that you love our podcast. Okay. And I will say this to you guys too who are watching. If you got some suggestions, some ideas, or let us know, because we think all of our ideas are great. Okay. So if you want us to change them, you got to say something. We got another question for you.
Federation service. Not real. No, there's not a hidden movement. You know where they are in space.
Yeah, that would be a little bit more difficult in the solitaire game anyway, I would assume.
I mean, in theory, you could do tokens that move face down, but it's not in it now, and I'm not planning on adding that.
Okay. Okay, guys, it's almost on 2 hours. It's very close to 2 hours. If you don't have anything else for Nathan, I'm going to let him go. I was going to say, Nathan, if you get a chance tomorrow, just give me a buzz. I do have some updates for you for off the air. And hey, I really appreciate you coming on in short notice. I'm sorry I had to pull you away from the presidential debates.
I'm not upset about that at all. I voted, and I've done my thing, and I don't want to hear anything else from them.
Yeah, I know. I was funny because I asked.
If you haven't voted yet, go vote. I don't, regardless of what your political views are, they don't have to agree with mine. Do your job.
Yeah, yeah. We don't want to hear you bitch if you don't vote. Yes, I will definitely second that. Go vote, people. Okay, well, Nathan, we're going to let you go. Devin and I have a few little updates to do, but thank you once again for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks.
And I will hopefully talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thank you, Nathan.
All right. So, just so you know, when you were gone, I volunteered you to sign us up for San Diego Con online.
Okay. I'll get right on it.
Mo has information for you on that. This is what happens when you're not here. So
I know. Hey, my own fault. I left. That's what happens.
I think what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you the show starts 15 minutes later than it does, later than it does, so I can squeeze those things in there. But I really did like the battle on the Chosin Reservoir.
Chosin Reservoir, yeah.
And we should have some stuff for that pretty darn quick, actually.
Yes, we should.
And, Charlotte won. I can honestly say I never told Devin a thing about it yet because I haven't. Are there anything else that we have for anybody?
Well, we should kind of go over a little bit more about what's occurring this Saturday and what time it's happening and what we're doing if I was able to get everything fixed just right.
Well, I'm going to go what you did, so I'm going to let you pitch that because you know that better than me.
Well, I know what I did. I'm not sure exactly. Well, evidently, Steam is currently doing a week-long event highlighting. Is it independent design developers or is it just war gamers? It's board games that have been transferred onto Steam into a digital format, and they've been running this for a week. And I was flipping through it. They had Steve Jackson Games Ogre on last night, and I think right after that was Twilight Struggle. They were doing a highlight show on. But basically, this Saturday we're going to be doing Lock and Load Tactical, and by we I mean me. So hopefully, I spent most of yesterday trying to figure it out. Hopefully, I've got everything figured out. So that when I push the button to start streaming, it'll stream right to Steam on our magic, internet magic, and it feels like it's.
I was more talking Mushroom Cloud.
That could happen just as easily. I mean, it's a 50-50 shot either way. It's going to work or it's going to blow up, one of the two. But basically, we're going to be good. We're going to be highlighting Lock and Load Tactical Digital for an hour. And what time were we doing that, David? Because I forgot.
You know what? I'll let you talk a bit more about that. I'm going to go look this up.
Okay, so basically, I'm going to be. I don't know what much else there is to say. I'm going to be on Steam, and hopefully, you can find it through the Lock and Load Tactical store page. And it'll be a live stream, and then they'll save it. And whenever you go back to the store, it'll pop up with the developer live stream. I'm just going to be playing, going to be talking about the game, answering questions. Again, this is if I did everything right. I tested it out. I was successfully able to stream to Steam. Try saying that half a dozen times fast. And had it set up for friends only. I haven't tried doing it actually to the page yet, because from what I can tell, there's no way to delete it once it gets up there, and I don't want me to have just, hi, this is just a test to see if I can actually get all this working right on the store page. So like I said, I'm hoping as soon as I push the button, we're going to be having an hour's worth of Lock and Load Tactical goodness where you can come in, you can watch me play. I'll be explaining a bunch of stuff, be explaining some of the mechanics, explaining what Tom's been doing with his design, what our goals are, what our future projects are, what we're working on, and be there for people to ask questions as I basically play the game.
All right.
However, I don't remember the time because we set this up like a month ago.
I was trying to find it online here. I will also say too, we are going to be releasing, I believe next week, the first DLC for, damn it, what is it? Heroes in Defiance.
Yes,
that's right. I keep getting them all wrong. I know for the longest times it was Heroes of the Pacific.
Yeah, because I think that's what we originally wanted, but we decided just for ease of programming that I think Defiance is the next one. So
I know it's Defiance. I saw maps go by last night at 3 a.m. Let me see. Here it is. Okay. Excuse me. Steam Festival LNLT, it says 2 p.m.
Pacific Central Standard.
Boy, you have a lot of questions.
I know. I'm sorry. I try not to be.
I believe it's probably Mountain Time.
So everything's set to you, so it'd be 1 p.m. my time. So 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So, and Chet's asking, what scenario are you playing? If everything goes right, I may be doing 2 of them because honestly, it really doesn't take very long to play through a tactical scenario on digital.
You know what? I have a suggestion.
What's that?
We should let you play a scenario that no one has seen yet. Maybe because I know you have a beta access.
I have the developer access. Yes. Yeah. I actually was thinking of doing one from Defiance. Not all the scenarios for Pacific are really ready yet. So yeah, I'll see what I can do, because there's also some from Normandy, scenario packs 2, 3, and 4 that I have access to that other people haven't seen yet. So I'll come up with a couple scenarios, probably one from Defiance. I was originally going to do something from Days of Villainy because for some reason there's a couple scenarios in there I just love playing. But yeah, we'll do something that nobody's seen before. And like I said, I'll try to work 2 scenarios in because it doesn't take me more than a half an hour to 20 minutes to play a scenario sometimes.
Now, someone has asked us about the 5-1 rules. Tom, I don't think Tom has implemented any live.
He hasn't implemented them live yet. But, I don't even think they're in beta test for where even I have access to them yet. So because I haven't seen them come across.
Pushing hard and getting the next DLC out, which is like I said, Heroes and Defiance. But we will make there will be an option on the menu in settings, I guess, so where you can decide if you want to play with the 5. There's really just 3 rules. well, there's 4 rules. One, you don't get a choice, and that's the one with the where you were allowed to have units riding on a tank or a vehicle and be able to fire from it. We've now taken that rule away, that you can't fire on it. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. We can always leave that for another discussion. But so that when it gets implemented, you won't be able to do that anymore in the game. The 3 rules that you will have options to will be the artillery, which you can opt out of using the different type of artillery barrages. It will be something you can click on and off, so you can try it both ways. Hull down for the tanks, okay, and fires. Okay, them starting, them spreading, you attempting to put them out, stuff like that. I don't have an ETA on that just as yet, but they will basically be optional rules there. Well, optional abilities, should I say. And just so you guys know too, Nations at War, I did get an update from Dan. They're moving along, going a little bit slower. That's program talk for right on time. But no, they're doing a great job, and I've got no complaints. That's taking them a little longer as the publisher. And I also know that Command Ops 2, I talked to Dave O'Connor. I know that they've been moving pretty steadily along with their next, not update, but the next module. It is, and it's behind you guys. I don't know how long, but I know it's been quite a while too. But you know, I'm definitely the principle. I'd rather you guys get it right and then get it fast, because fast gets me bitching gets me unhappy, and then I slow down another thing. So it's a lose-lose. I don't know when the next show will be. I do know that you plan to maybe Sunday, you were saying. Are you going to wait?
Yeah. No. Johnny and I were talking about it. We're going to be doing Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, my time for the next Friendly Fire episode. I'm looking about, I don't know, 4 or 5. It all depends on how things are going around here. But yes, we should be having another Friendly Fire show on Sunday.
And it's going to be the same battle continue?
Yes, we are going to be continuing the same battle, the First Contact one that we did from Heroes Against the Red Star.
Great. And just so you guys know, I probably should put our Twitch thing on, our little banners thing, that would help. But we're going to start these shows on Twitch, and only Twitch initially. And that's because that the resolution when you're playing on the computer screen is just perfect, because it's made for first-person shooters on Xbox and stuff like that. So you can really get a good feel for it. We are still working out some little kinks there. The object, again, though, is as Devin's talking and playing, we hope to interact where Johnny can answer him and people can type questions or talk strategies, or, you know, hey, Dev, what the hell are you doing? You should never have done that. You should have done this. And again, the object is to let people see the game played, ask people why the hell you're doing what you're doing. It's not going to be just gamers against gamers. This is something where he can, you know, play Lock and Tactical solo, or World at War solo, or Federation of the Space Infantry Federation game, where it may not necessarily be something that is just multiplayer. Also, guys, if you like to come on the show, I keep saying this, and it's very quiet when I say this, but if you want to play with Devin or possibly even Johnny, Locking with Tactical or Space Infantry or whatever the game is.
If you want to play Keith in World at War, we can set that up. You know, I speak for them because I speak for him, and even we haven't asked him yet, but he'll do it. He'll do it.
Yeah, that's true. We have ways of making them do things.
Yes, we have ways of making him participate.
So, but you guys can literally come on the show and play. Okay. So it's not just something you can, you know, sit there and just watch and say, oh, that's nice, and move along. It really is meant to be interactive. And again, we're looking to get feedback from you guys. So I don't think I have anything else unless you do.
I don't have anything else. I was just touching on the Steam event this Saturday and the next episode of Friendly Fire on Sunday. That's really all I had for the rest of the show.
And you said what time on Sunday?
About 4 or 5. Johnny and I haven't nailed down the time yet, but when we do, we will get it out to the pertinent Facebook, Discord, and I'll get it to David, and he can put it up on the Twitter account. But we will get the word out before. Well, it might be a day before, but I'll get the word out to everybody before it occurs. What time it is going to be.
Okay, that Tim, you're going to have to ask of Keith and Jeff, because I have no idea. What I was saying about the Twitch, though, is it is going to initially broadcast on Twitch. Our Twitch account is, twitch.com/LNLP. Okay, and what will happen is a little bit after that, could be a couple of days, maybe a week, Devin will post it on and/or Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so
and really the reason why we're primarily focusing on Twitch is since we are using Tabletop Simulator and it is a computer-based program, the resolution we get when we stream to Twitch is beyond compare. If I were to do the same thing through OBS straight to YouTube, you can tell there's a loss of quality in it. And we want to present to you the Tabletop Simulator, the games in the best way we can. Even when I take the file off of Twitch and re-upload it to YouTube, there's still a loss of quality when I upload it to YouTube from Twitch. So that's kind of why we want to focus mostly on using Twitch for the Friendly Fire episodes.
Yeah, even after the broadcast is over, it stays there for, 30 days?
Right now we're at like 30 days. We're not a Twitch partner, and I think if you're a Twitch partner, it stays up like for 60 or 90 or something silly like that. But our episodes on Twitch, if you go to Twitch and look at LNLP, for the last 30 days, any episodes that we've done are still up there, and you can watch it through that. And even right now, as I'm sitting here keeping an eye on all the channels, I go to the Twitch channel and it is much more clear than what the YouTube channel is putting out. The YouTube channel is putting out like 720, whereas the Twitch channel is, let me check the settings.
It's 4K.
It's not 4K, but it's better than 1920. It's better than 1280. So, but yeah, just looking, I wish I could show you this so you can see that what the difference in quality between the YouTube stream and the Twitch stream, and we're coming. It's both from the same feed, so right. It's just Twitch is just a better quality. So,
the only down part of Twitch is it only stays 30 days.
Yeah, and we've got to download it and then re-upload it to YouTube. So,
how do we? Oh, that's probably a good idea. We
probably should put it up.
All right. Well, as the planning gurus here, I would say if you're on Facebook, okay, or better yet, you're on our forums at Lock and Load, just make a post in the game you want, and Devin or I will see it. We will probably set up an email that you guys can email to, that will go to Devin and or myself. And then Devin give you a way to contact Devin and arrange the date and time. Yep. So, and we've only done one episode, and it was a trial run, but people really seem to like it, and so we decided to make it a regular thing. The first episode is only available on Twitch.
Correct. I haven't uploaded it to YouTube yet. There's a couple things David and I are still working out for the intro and the outro. And as soon as we get that, but like I said, I've already downloaded it. So even if it's a month from now and for whatever reason I don't get it uploaded to YouTube, I've already got it downloaded. It will get to YouTube at some point.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Tim, I have to tell you, Devin and I were kind of surprised about that too. And but I have to say, watch anything on there, especially when he's using the computer. We'll have to turn around and record some more. Maybe do a Lock and Load Tactical or one of the other games, and on there, and just record it. We can show. Right. Yeah, Tim. We did. I had talked to Harold, right?
Harold Buchanan. Yeah.
About it the second he announced it. I know we're on a docket to do it. I am in the process of updating the store, and it's more like a tremendous event. But anyway, yeah, there'll be a new version of the store. It's the same store operating system. It's just a major update, and of course, like most programmers, you have to tinker with everything and break what was working perfectly fine. And but we got a really great guy working with us and finishing that. We have really really great guys. But yeah, we are going to be part of that. Devin is going to get in contact with Mo and Harold and arrange what games we are. We did mention to Keith and Jeff today about doing it. Rick Billings is going to be playing something. He did set something up. I just remember what it is.
Probably Lock and Load, because he did Lock and Load for us at the Armchair Dragoons, and Keith and I took care of the World at War game. So
okay. So, but yes, so we're definitely going to be part of that.
Yes.
And Tim, are you going to be doing anything particular? And if there's anything we can do to support you on, on this online con like that, we're big into playing the games, not reading the rules. I mean, shameless plug, sorry guys.
We like to have fun, throw dice at each other, and giggle. That's the most important thing. We don't get bogged down in silly things like rules. Rules are for ASL players.
Wow, you're gonna get them so much.
Hey, I'm fine. I'm fine. I've played ASL off and on for 30 years. I can take the heat.
Myself and Carl, at the Oregon Boot Camp at Pacific County, would be good to have more LNL. Yeah, well, you know what? We went. I guess it was 2 years ago. I don't think we went last year, and this year's was canceled. Yeah, the biggest problem we have is there's just so much material we can lug across the planet and do it. But Tim, like I told you the first time we met, and Carl, we are very, very big, and hopefully you feel that way, on supporting the War Game Boot Camp. I personally think that's one of the greatest things in the world, and I'm saying this live on the air. I really was impressed with that. And one of the greatest things I did when I was at PacificCon, when I first got to meet Tim and Carl, was I played Revolutions games, something Fury. I think it was a carrier game, a Pacific game. I don't remember what it was. But man, they sat down. The designer sat down with us, taught me the game, taught another guy the game, and we played 2 games back to back and just had a great time. I mean, wow. A con that you can actually play games at. Who would have thought?
I will admit, as much as I did enjoy the Armchair Dragoons, and I know Keith raved about it when he was on early, when he and Jeff were on early, the one thing that I do really kind of miss that you don't get doing a virtual con is the alcohol.
Well, you could still.
But it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not like you're getting to sit down with Uwe and some of his family's homemade schnapps and getting drunk with Uwe. You can't do that at a virtual con.
Uwe from Academy Games, guys, he is the blast to be at. We always have dinner with him and his lovely wife and Darren. And when we actually did the first Kickstarter, the meeting we had was at dinner. And we started talking about it, Uwe, myself, Keith, Darren, Jeff. I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock before we went to bed. But we had worked out almost 80% of the Kickstarter for World at War 85. And you have to admit, guys, that went pretty well. So that was pretty good. Oh, any word? Okay. Any word on a sale? My wallet is waiting. Sale, yes. I would say you can expect to see one probably either Halloween, starting it off, or sometime in early November. We are really trying to get it up and running onto the new store. But yes, we're definitely going to have one way or the other. And I would say start paying close attention day before Halloween, the first week or so into November. Okay, I'm not sure what the well's for, but
I think he's segueing into his next statement.
Well, I didn't even know. See, and that's another thing too. We need a central spot where I didn't even know PacificCon was online. But guys, if you're running a con, you're doing something online. We have a Steve. I forget his last name. He does a lot of the cons for us on the East Coast, and he's the official lock and load, I guess, representative at these cons. And he caught a lot of the East Coast cons. So it's Pacific, not Pacific, excuse, the President one, PresCon. And there's a few other ones that are pretty close back to back early part of the year. And I know it goes down to where they used to have WBC. And now it's a miniatures con that's there that's been there for, I think it's historical con, right? Historicon.
Something like that, yeah.
And anyway, we ship him all of our games. He gets them first, honestly, and brings them to the con for us. And he's been priceless help as well, because there's just no way if you want us to see us do anything, we can hit all these cons. I will say the 2 cons that we're really going to try to get to, guaranteed, WBC. It's got the largest war game convention, at least in North America. We get to see all of our friends that we basically get to see mostly once a year. And Nate and Mo and all those guys, Mark Herman and all them. We have a great time just sitting there talking and chatting, playing games. And what I like about it, which some people don't, it's over a week. So, I mean, I think we fly down there basically on the Thursday. And Friday, we just sleep in late, relax. Breakfast is like by 3 p.m., and we just, the con starts kind of Saturday. People start getting there. But by that time, we're already set up, ready to go. We're going to have our own media room so we can broadcast. We're going to try broadcasting live, but the signal's But at least to record the stuff and then bring it back and show it afterwards. And we're thinking of the other one would be what can I remember?
It's the one in North Dakota, right?
No.
Dakota?
We were thinking of going. North Dakota's not locked down, people. So we were thinking of possibly going to South Dakota. It was South Dakota, and just renting like you would a wedding hall and saying, hey, we can only have X amount of people. You guys want to fly in there, play some games, hang out with us? We're really considering that. So just it will not be a lot of notice, maybe 2-3 weeks notice, and it's just something to do for fun. But it's John Krantz's convention, Consim World.
Consim World, right?
Yeah. So we're thinking of doing that one. And again, it doesn't mean we won't go to Pacific Con or any other con, but what we're going to try to do is make one, if not both those, are kind of staples, and then kind of maybe do a third one. I used to go to Origins, but that is so much not a war game convention anymore. But if you like Magic, you should be happy. Yeah.
And D&D.
And D&D. No, it's more Magic. There's not really much.
Is it more Magic now?
It's not. It's not like, there's a lot of X-Wing there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I was a young lad and I went to war game conventions, Origins was the war game convention to go to. And that's pretty much
and for people in the Pacific Northwest, I usually attend Game On every year, so
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Newell and I, we're good buddies too, and we will definitely be hitting Game On. I think they moved it from.
Yeah, they moved it from Everett more towards. It was in Issaquah, which was really nice. I liked it. I liked it out of Issaquah. Yeah, but now they moved it up to Bellingham, and it's not. The hotel is a better quality hotel, but it's just not. There's not a lot of restaurants in the area, and it's not
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not. Well, it's not in the middle of nowhere. It's practically right downtown Bellingham. It's not. customer friendly. There's not a lot of restaurants in walking area. It's not easy to get around. Traffic is a pain in the butt. It's just Issaquah was a much better location. Because at Issaquah, it's like you walk out of the hotel and within sight there's like half a dozen different restaurants that you can go to. What's that?
There was a Starbucks in walking distance.
Yeah, there was a Starbucks within walking distance. Exactly. In Bellingham, it's kind of like a row of like 5 hotels but no real restaurants in the area. So,
well, I know Jeff had said that one of the reasons they did it was because they needed more game room.
Yes. And it was starting to get bigger.
In the bar, there was limitations on the food.
Yeah. He is correct about that. So,
okay, what's this one? Bought TSS and loaded up lock and load, fit in the maps, and then the counters are a pain. Okay, this is more for your field there, buddy.
All right. Do you mean fitting the maps by size, or just making sure you don't accidentally pick them up and click them and move the maps around accidentally? Because you can go in there, and when you click on the maps, once you got the map set, you can lock the map. So in the drop-down menu, there is an option to lock something into place. Getting the maps lined up is kind of a little bit tricky too, because you kind of got to watch where the shadow is. It sometimes takes me maybe upwards of a half a dozen tries to get the map boards lined up where I'm happy with them. Then I lock them down. And then doing the counters is you just click and drag and you capture all the counters at once. And again, just use the drop down menu to shrink or grow the size of the counters. It takes a little bit, but I've never found it to be that much of an impediment. Uwe did a pretty good job at scaling. Well, if you have a 1 map scenario, if you have a 2 map scenario, you can usually get 2 maps on that Kraken map board. And as Tim Porter just said, use the L key to lock stuff in Tabletop Simulator. I use the drop-down menu just because I can't remember hotkeys. It takes a little bit of work, but I don't see it as that big of a deal. You can go in beforehand, and this is what I usually do, and I will set everything up beforehand, then I'll save it, so I don't have to worry about it when my opponent and I sit down and start to play it. Fitting 3 or 4 maps on the Kraken board, kind of really got to really shrink the maps down, and then in turn but usually what I do is it's like, all right, I got the map set, I shrink it down 30 times, then I grab all the counters. All right, I know to shrink it down 30. I mentally counted out how much I'm shrinking the map down so I can use the same number to shrink down the counters. Yeah, it can be a touch of a pain in the tushkas, but I just see it as it's the flexibility of the TTS system. So.
Now, and we did discuss during the earlier part of the show that we are going to talk to Uwe, who has done an excellent job, and see if we can get a bigger table, possibly for if you want to put down the 8 maps for World at War 85.
Yeah, for the Frankfurt scenario.
Right. Something like that, because it won't fit now, but it's microscopic, so it doesn't fit really.
Yeah. So that's something that we're going to be talking to Uwe about, and I don't know how much more, because that's a custom table he used. The Kraken table is a custom table to begin with. I'm not sure how much bigger they can go in tabletop just because of the engine requirements, but I'll talk to him and ask him about that and see how much bigger he can go with the tables. Because yes, fitting 3 or 4 maps on the Kraken, even though Kraken is one of the biggest tables in TTS, yes, I will fully admit it is a little bit difficult sometimes. So
challenging. That's the word.
Challenging. Yes. It's an adventure. That's what they told me when I went into the military. It's an adventure. No, it was, but it was painful. So.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I guess we'll call it a night. Someone else. So hold on. What's this side?
Resizable table in TTS, not the Kraken. There probably is. I haven't gotten much into it, but like I said, I just got to touch bases with Uwe and see what he's our TTS expert. So Richtofen 56. He's got a lot of games actually. He hasn't just done lock and load stuff. I know he's got Panzer Leader on there. I think he's got Arab-Israeli Wars. He's got a lot of games. He just recently did Chitin Wars 2 from Metagame Concepts, and unless you're old school like I am, you don't really understand how cool of a game Chitin 2 was for Metagame Concepts. But yeah, he's got probably 50 or 60 games that he's done on there, and he's always continuous. So go into Steam Workshop, look for Richtofen 56, and just subscribe to all of his stuff because he does fantastic work.
Yes, he does. And we're going to be putting some more of our standalone products up there. I mean, we basically want like hell bent for leather, man, with getting all the core games out there and getting all the companion books put together so you guys could buy those if you didn't want to own the physical copy. So we had to take a breath, but we're basically caught up, believe it or not.
Yeah. We got the last one tonight, didn't we? Straight from Stefan's Eagle Eye.
I think Stefan has one more pass, but I think he said it was done. He asked about Normandy, but Normandy's already been done.
Yeah, Normandy was one of the first ones that he did. I don't know. Maybe he's looking at Noville
it's the stress. All right, everybody. Well, time. And I'd like to thank everyone who came to the show, listened, participated, and I hope you guys enjoy the shows. And if you got some ideas for a show or something else that you'd like us to do, by all means, jump in and say something. Yes.
Really quick, Neil, I haven't forgotten about you. I will try to get you a call tomorrow. It's been kind of crazy this week, but I haven't forgotten about you. You will be getting a call hopefully tomorrow.
Yes. It's on me, Neil. That's all him now.
Yeah, no, it's totally me. Totally me this time. Nothing to do with David on this time. This time.
Okay, guys. Good night. And this is where we start to wave. We're going to try to come on the better extra. Oh, let's see this one.
Well, that is all you have for this episode. Keep gaming, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.
And it gives people a chance to see me dance.
Publishing production.
Not that they want to.